Welcome back. You're watching Road to Success, the key to your next level in business. Our consultant on this segment is Mr. Kanute Waswa from Outdoors Africa. Welcome to the show, Kanute.
Thank you, Anne.
Today we're talking about the place of failure in business. You know, when people talk about business, the word that comes is success. And the word failure is not synonymous with business, and yet I think there is a place for it. So maybe let's just define this failure.
I'll define it in two ways, Anne. Cassius Clay, famously known as Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer in history, had one rallying call: failure is the breakfast of champions. In other words, when you go out there and fail, you learn how to improve yourself. You build muscle, and you will need that muscle down the road. That's the first definition. The second definition is from the art of war. You see, military generals have known for centuries that failure in execution of their strategy means people die, and people die. Now, in business, if you fail, you may lose a bit of money, people may lose jobs, but in war, people die. And so, generals call failure a tactical retreat. They don't call it failure. It makes a world of a difference.
When I'm entering business, how should I consider failure?
When you enter business, the first thing is you should be ready to learn. You see, unfortunately, we have a lot of talented people out there, but they do not get to unlock the value of their talent for what it's worth. Why? Because unlocking that is a lot of hard work, part of which means picking yourself up from failure. You need to put in 10,000 hours because you can be able to master just the intricacies of running the business. And that's what you must do.
So for a business person, Kanute, what is the rule of thumb?
The rule of thumb is very, very simple, Anne. The 7 habits of highly successful people. Habit number 1 is a paradigm shift. In other words, don't see failure as final. See failure as a learning process. I will explain that. You see, unfortunately, our education system punishes failure. You don't get a 90, you're not an A. You get a 50, you're a C. You get a 40, you're a failure. But life rewards failure. Look at any successful person out there. Once Michael Jordan was asked, how come you have been so successful? You have won this many baskets, so many rebounds, you have had so many turnarounds. And Jordan was surprised. His response was, you do not know the amount of times I have failed. Even look at the company sponsoring this program, Equity. Look at their balance sheet 24 years ago. It is actually nowhere you would put in your money. Today, it is the blue-eyed boy of the stock exchange. What did they do? They learned to go through the paradigm shift of appreciating failure as a learning process.
What are the barriers? Maybe when we talk about paradigm shift, here I am, I'm going into business. Sorry, I'm already in business, and the thought of failure scares me. What are some of the things that I need to change?
2 things that you definitely and emphatically must think about. Number 1, feel the fear, but do it anyway. Even the top business people will tell you, they still have butterflies in their stomach when they're making an investment. What have they learned to do? They have learned to make the butterflies fly in formation. You must do that. Even Robert Kiyosaki, famous author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, How to Teach Your Kids About Money, has a very interesting quotation about fear. He says, fear is an acronym standing for fail early and responsibly. Well put and right on, Anne. The second thing that you must appreciate about failures is the fact that we will all fail at some point. You see, in medicine, there is something called inoculation. When you get inoculated, they introduce the components of the disease that are weaker so that your body gets to build the antibodies to be able to fight the disease. When the real disease comes, you have built the fight against that. Now, same thing in business. You must learn to get a coach in business. You need people who are not necessarily amazed by you. People who can talk straight to you, ask you the hard questions, be a sounding board, and tell you here, you are not using up your potential. Such people coaching you and later on mentoring you, they make a world of a difference in the sense that they have fought battles on your behalf and you learn from their experiences. Get a coach and a mentor. You are on your road to success.
So for a person looking at failure in business, maybe tell us, what's the advantage of failing? What's the place of failure in business?
Failure has two places in that whole jigsaw of business. Number one, failure is a strong foundation on which you can be able to build an idea and a concept that will go far. And just as we saw in the earlier segment, Lorna Ruto failed many times, but she kept at it. So that's important. But secondly, Anne, failure adds beauty to the tapestry. It is the contrast that makes the eye appreciate the different colors of the rainbow. Now, failure enables you to see things you would otherwise not have seen had you just have a Cinderella run. And why is that important? Because at the end of the day, there are muscles you are going to build because they are necessary for your growth. Your baby does not grow at the fastest rate. They grow at an optimal rate. Why is that important? Because nature knows obstacles have to come their way as they learn to crawl, as they learn to walk, as they learn to move at a foxtrot. And they have to bump themselves against walls for them to judge distance. They have to fall down for them to learn how to break their fall. They build muscle. But ultimately, they learn to run. They fly. They lead the world. It's the same thing in business. A very rich and necessary place for failure.
Give us examples of great men and women, that we admire in business that have used failure, basically as a stepping stones to what they have produced today.
Thomas Edison with the light bulb failed 1,000 times, but he said, I have learned 999 times how not to do it. The Wright brothers, the first time they tried the plane in 1906, it didn't work. It took them 31 years for them to get the first commercially viable plane, which we call the 5 disciplines of flying. Here as Kenyans, we have learned to fail as a country. What did that make us do? It made us pass the new constitution. That means Vision 2030, one of the pillars being business, is right on our doorstep. Why? Because we learned to fail. Failure is a necessary ingredient of the richness of life.
Kanute Waswa, always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much, Anne. Much appreciated.
You've been watching Road to Success, the key to your next level in business. You've heard it from the expert. Do not fear failure. It's actually something that builds muscle. Have a great week. God bless.
Brought to you by Equity Bank.
Equity Bank. You are listening